In this video, I'm discussing the PlayStation 5 and the PS4. So we're going to do a comparison between the two different models and see if it's actually worth, at this point in time, upgrading to the PlayStation 5, or should you stick to your PlayStation 4? The first thing that I want to talk about is the bodies, the hardware, and the performance. You're going to need more room for your PlayStation 5 because it is a lot bigger than your PlayStation 4. Even the digital version is a similar size to the disc edition of the PlayStation 5, so you are going to need a lot of room for when you're upgrading. The PlayStation 4 is just down flat like this. You've got the padding obviously at the bottom, PlayStation logo there at the top, right here, PlayStation logo here. Differences in sort of body stuff, I would say that you can replace the plates, do a lot of customization with the on-body of the PlayStation 5. With the PlayStation 4, it's sort of like, as it is, you can get skins and stuff like that, but I don't know much about replacing the actual body, the plates and stuff like that. The PlayStation 5 has double the amount of AMD processors, so it has an 8-core AMD, whereas the PlayStation 4 only has a 4 AMD processor. And also with the SSD on the PlayStation 5 is a lot quicker with its load times and stuff like that. So basically having less load times, it's a lot quicker with storage and transferring storage, as well as copying over games. A lot quicker. I found the PlayStation 4, it did take a very long time with load screens. With the PlayStation 5, it will take you less time to transfer over storage. It will take you less time to load between different rooms and games, as well as just playing the games, because there is 0 load screens. So that's what's amazing about the PlayStation 5. It's a lot faster, and that's due to the processors and also the SSD inside. Other things to note with storage, you can get the 1TB version of the PS4 Pro, and that will allow you to have up to 880 gigabytes of storage, around about there. Whereas with the PS5, everybody knows that it comes with 850 gigabytes, even for the digital version, 850 gigabytes, and then that's rounded down to 660 because of the internal storage. So you are getting a little bit extra storage with your PS4 Pro. So if you have full storage on your PS4 Pro, you wouldn't be able to transfer all that stuff across unless you have extra storage for your PS5. It is a lot of money to expend on your storage. You can have external storage for the PS4 Pro, but I don't know much about doing the internal storage. With the PS5, there's definitely that option to do the internal storage, and it's super fast, has the heat sink, everything like that. It's really expensive, but when you get it, it's really good. It transfers over hundreds of gigabytes in about 7 minutes, which is absolutely insane. So it's just something to note. Quicker speed times with SSDs as well with PlayStation 5. That's just something to note when transferring your stuff across. There's also other things such as just the processors of the graphics. So basically PS5, we know that it can play 4K and up to 8K at 120 frames per second. But overall, playing in 1080p, most likely you're not going to be able to tell too much of a difference. And if you're a casual gamer, you're not going to be telling too much of a difference. Like if you're playing through an Elgato HD60S like I did, I wasn't too bothered about too much of the graphical differences. It still looked amazing on the PS4 Pro as it does on the PlayStation 5. If you look at the two controllers, we have the DualSense controller and then we have the DualShock controller. So we have two different inputs. That was the first thing I noticed. So Type-C input and a micro USB input. So the Type-C is a lot better than this micro SD. We also have the charging inputs at the bottom there. We just have a headphone jack there at the bottom. And then it just looks more upgraded with the PS4 controller. Definitely looks a lot better, I would say. There are lots of great upgrades with it. We now have the haptic feedback. That's like the number one thing that they rave on about with the PS5, the biggest difference. With the DualShock controller, we have a lot of basic stuff. We still have the rumble, wireless capabilities, all that sort of stuff. It's a big upgrade from the PS3 controller, I'll tell you that much. This controller definitely revolutionized a lot of the gaming industry. The DualSense controller is definitely next level. Definitely with inbuilt mics and, you know, the haptic feedback. A lot of people don't like the haptic feedback, so they do turn it off. You know, we've got the touch sensor, multiple microphones inbuilt, wireless capabilities. We also have the customization options. There are plenty of options for the DualShock controller. There's definitely third-party controllers as well, so there's lots of stuff there. It's a lot chunkier of a controller with this one as well, and it's a bit heavier than the DualShock controller. Everyone's sort of used to playing the basic DualShock controller, that they have to definitely get used to this, but it's definitely a huge upgrade in terms of just everything about it, like the way it feels and everything. There are a lot of similarities. Definitely even looking at it, like you can tell the difference with the home button and everything. There is a big difference there as well. I definitely love the DualSense controller, and I've raved a lot about this controller because it is absolutely mind-blowing. We've talked about the hardware, the processors. Now we're going to just talk about the gaming experience on these two machines. On the home menu, the first difference that you're going to see is animated backgrounds with the PlayStation 5 and a lot more vibrancy, because whereas with PlayStation 5 you're getting a lot more different backgrounds in the home screen. Also during gameplay with the PlayStation 5, you've got that home menu bar at the bottom when you're playing your games, and then you can go into the home menu as well to, you know, do different things. Whereas with the PS4, you don't have the home bar menu at the bottom. It's just a huge upgrade for your gameplay. You know, we've got the game switcher as well on the PS5, which is not something that you have on the PS4. Quicker load times as well with the gaming. That's what I've talked about already. That's due to the AMD processors. Also in gameplay, the biggest thing with the PlayStation 5 that I've noticed with the two different gameplays when noticing the graphics of like playing these games is the ray tracing. So PS5 has the ray tracing support, whereas the PS4 Pro does not have the ray tracing. So with shadows and stuff like that, you're not getting that element of the reflections that you'll get with the PS5 gameplay. So there is a big difference there, and you'll tell when you go back to it, to the PS4, is like this sort of contrast in the shadows, and it sort of looks a bit flatter and less realistic when you're playing the games. Whereas with the PS5, it just has that realistic element when you have that ray tracing on. There's also just general things such as autosave. So PS4 does not have as much of the autosave feature as the PS5. Like every game you can just exit out of without really saving, and it'll just autosave automatically. Whereas with the PS4, you have to manually save a lot of your progress. And also when you're playing games, there's the performance mode and then the high fidelity mode. When it comes to the PS5, you have those options for like higher frame rates or higher performance when playing the games. Whereas with the PS4 versions of playing like Spider-Man games and stuff like that, you just have the game and then that's it. There's no high fidelity mode, no performance mode. It's just play the game and that's it. A few other things. So also the PS4 does have folders, which is not something that the PS5 has. The PS5 has this thing called game lists, where you can just sort of put something under one title as a game list, and then you have those options of the different games there on the list. PS4 has the folders, which is definitely something that actually does better than the PS5. Now you can play a lot of the newer games on the PlayStation 4 as the PlayStation 5. There are definitely games that you can't play on the PS4 that you can play on the PS5. Most of the games are actually cross-compatible, so if you buy something on the PS4, you can actually transfer it later to the PS5. So at this point, you don't have to get a PS5, but when you do, it's just a major boost in graphics performance, storage capabilities. It's just faster gameplay and an overall experience. It's just like really immersive. It just blows your mind how amazing it is. This console is 5 to 6 years old now, whereas this one is only 2 years old. So there's definitely going to be further upgrades in the future with the PS5. We might get the PS5 Slim. Who knows? With the PS4, we've got the PS4 Slim, we've got the original PS4, and then we've got this one, which is PS4 Pro. Something else that it does have in it is the boost. So basically that just boosts FPS capabilities, which meaning that you could play probably up to 120 frames per second, but the PS5 does it automatically. The PS4 Pro is definitely an affordable alternative to getting a PS5. You can play most of the games and you can get the FPS boost, so you can play up the same FPS and you can get similar graphics. You just won't get the ray tracing. You'll get the similar games. You can play Ratchet & Clank, you can play some PlayStation classics, and you can get some great games such as FIFA 23 and WWE 2K22. You can get all that stuff. Even the new God of War, like you can still play all those games on the PS4. They're still releasing the games on the PS4. So it doesn't mean that the PS4 at this point is discounted from the conversation of the realm of what the latest consoles are, because they're still releasing all the stuff. The differences is that PS5 just has all those processors and all the extras there, whereas the PS4, it's the more affordable option. Like I just picked this up today, pre-owned, for just over $400, whereas the PS5 is double the price. It's $850. Not everybody can afford an $850 console, let's be honest. So basically, at this point in time, it is worth getting a PlayStation 5, but honestly, if you can't afford it, you can still play a lot of the great PS5 games on your PlayStation 4. And if you don't even have any of these, and if you can't go out and spend $850 because of life and in general, things are expensive, then get yourself a PlayStation 4. There's nothing against PlayStation 4. It's still an amazing console. Like, people are still going to be playing it, but once you get the upgrade to the PlayStation 5, it is just so worth it to get it. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have a beautiful day, and I'll see you guys next time.